Everyone, it's the interview queen, Alicia Atout here, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to my interview with Bert from Chunk, No Captain Chunk. Hello.
Hello, I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah,
Of
how are
course,
you actually? Le- le-
I'm
le-
doing, the tables have turned.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing really, really well. Excited to have you on the show. You were kind of mentioning before we started rolling here that it's been a busy day. So just fill me in a little bit. How are you doing and how are things over there?
Really good. Like I think in France we still have that sort of, the pandemic is still around, of course, but I have to say it's a weird summer. Like people are in vacation, but not really.
Mhm.
But so that's where I'm actually very happy to like release an album right now and think of like something different than just like the pandemic.
Right.
So yeah, but life is great. It's very exciting to release something new after such a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, all good.
Well, you had mentioned the record there, and of course, just a couple days ago, like this is extremely fresh. Your brand new album, Gone Are the Good Days, came out. You all must just be absolutely buzzing. I know that the fans are. So, what's kind of running through your mind now that it's finally out in the world, and the fact that all that time did pass? You're releasing these singles, the album in its entirety, and people are absolutely loving it.
Yeah, like we were very confident about like the new songs we were releasing, but we did not expect like such a good feedback overall. Honestly, like it's crazy. I think when you're releasing when you're an artist and you're releasing your fourth album, you kind of know what to expect with like people's reaction on the internet. Like people will start talking obviously, and you'll get like the first feedback from like each song and all of that. But it's the first time that we release an album and like people are loving all of the tracks, and it's kind of like honestly, I've seen just a very, very, very few people are just like, oh, I prefer, older stuff and all of that. But it's I don't know, it's less than 1% from like the overall thing that I've seen. So it's really cool. It makes me very confident about like the direction we decided to choose, and yeah, I'm just very, very happy, and I just wish this album was just released in a different type of context, like
Of
without the
course.
COVID and all of that, obviously, because that's the one. If there's like one thing that's actually completely different from what like the time we were releasing our past album, is that there is like the touring thing that supposed to follow the release of an album. Like the touring part of it is just not quite there yet. I think it will be back at some point. But yeah, unfortunately we don't have like any guarantee to actually have like some proper touring plans, unfortunately. But
Well,
yeah.
fingers crossed that'll all change. You can actually hit the road, celebrate its release in that normal sense. But did you end up celebrating the release together in any other way? I saw that you did have an amazing cake that looked so cool.
Yeah, honestly, like I've seen that in our stories. But honestly, I don't even know where it comes from, but it's
Oh,
great.
seriously?
Yeah,
That's
but
so
yeah,
cool.
it's so cool. It's so cool. And unfortunately, like the band is right now is like kind of like all over Europe. I would say
Okay.
like bass player is in Portugal. My brother is like, but the guitar player is a different city. Like everybody's like all over the place at the moment. But I think we'll be able to actually have like that kind of like release party at some point during the summer. But yeah, I'm stoked.
Well, taken from the album, there's a brand new single called Complete You, which features AJ from The Dangerous Summer. And there's a real shift in the overall vibe on the song as you explored some new sounds. It's a little more poppy, it's super melodic, but it still has the heaviness. So, what kind of made all of you want to change things up a little bit and actually experiment more on this release?
Actually, that specific song is the most experimental from
Mm-hmm.
like for the whole album. And yeah, this one we almost started this one as a kind of like a joke to actually see how far and how like crazy like how crazy we could experiment, if that makes sense. Like, so I remember we started with like, I think I told my drummer, I was like, oh, let's start a song with like, like the most like the how can I say that, the most weird like drum pattern. So it was like like an Afro sort of pattern, and and we kind of like built the whole song around that. I did like some like funky guitars, but like all of those elements like are were like completely different from like what we're used to do in the past. And somehow, this song, when I listen to this song now, I feel like this is it's sounding very unique. It has like its own vibe, but it sounds very chunk in the end. So it again, it makes me very confident about like how far we can experiment with our own like sound, so I'm very, very happy. At first I was like very surprised how everything turned out, but I'm just very, very, very proud of it. And the sax solo, obviously, kind of like it's kind of like the cherry on top of the
Yeah.
of the cake.
It's so different, but it also shows how far you guys have actually come as a band in order to not only just be ballsy enough to actually experiment that far off, but in the end actually have it work with all these different elements that in a normal context should not make sense. But when you hear it together, it really does.
Yeah, it's kind of like a magic combination, honestly. I don't know, it's crazy.
Now, to coincide with the actual album release, the band dropped a lot of really cool merch. There's everything from shirts, you have baseball caps, even these really neat trunks for guys. So, when it comes to merch, do you happen to have any favorites that you've kept from either other bands or your band over the years?
There's always been like best sellers, obviously, like, and we've been always very cautious about what we were like doing with our merch. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not taking care of this personally, but we have the one guitar player, it's named Paul, who's actually taking care of like every single design. Like, this is the kind of thing that is part of your band's like image,
Mhm.
and that, I think this is really important. It's as important as the artwork of your album, and yeah, we've always been very, very we always had our hands on those kind of things. um and yeah, I'm sorry, what was the question again? I forgot that.
No, it's fine. Just from over the years, do you happen to have a favorite piece of merch, whether one of your own or actually one coming from another band or a concert you went to as a fan?
Oh yeah. Huh. I think like, if I speak just for like the one that we did with Chunk, I think one that was really cool is the one with like the Goonies sort of. It was it was, I think it was the main picture from the Goonies, and instead of written, it was written the Goonies. It's written Chunk, no Captain Chunk, and it works so well. Like, it's kind of like a piece of art almost. The designer did a really good job with that.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah. And I remember one day I had like someone coming to the merch table, and instead of buying merch, it was a girl who actually brought me like a homemade shirt, and it
Oh.
was written "Drunk, no Captain Drunk." I felt like it was funny.
Great. I'm really happy that you brought up Goonies there because, of course, the band's name is a little nod to one of the greatest movies ever. So, that's what I wanted to ask you about today is when it comes to films, what's one movie you can watch over and over and never get tired of?
um so, I'm not gonna say the Goonies because it's gonna sound like, I don't know. I think if there's like one movie that, like, I can take any second of the movie, it will trigger like instant nostalgia. I would say Home Alone. Somehow this one
Okay.
is kind of like the one that it's I don't know. I don't the first one. I think
Yeah.
the first one is the best, but I I grew up in the 90s, and we grew up with those like movies that, yeah, that it triggers something. It
There's
triggers like,
nostalgia and warmth
yeah,
in it.
yeah. And what's crazy about that specific movie is that I can just like, if it's like playing on a TV, I can just like watch it for like 10 seconds, and I will always feel like at home, almost. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
which is pretty ironic. But
Yeah, right.
it's a good choice though. I rewatched all those films last Christmas and it really just brings back, like I said, the nostalgia and just that overall feeling of the holidays too. Like that always helps, but good choice. Well, Bert, I want to say thank you so
Oh yeah,
much
right. Of
for
course, of
coming
course.
on here, for taking the time. It's been a pleasure being able to speak with you today. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's always great to be able to talk about, a record. So yeah, thank you very much.
Of course. To everyone watching, this has been Bert from Chunk, No Captain Chunk. Be sure to check out aliciatout.com for more exclusive interviews and features, and we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.